Oh no, I bent it. That won't work anymore. Aw. It's... That's too bad. It jumped ship. It doesn't want to be a pickle. Hello. Have some of the markers around. I hope I have the right varieties, but I think that's what that is. Hey, what's up? It's Crystal. Welcome to our channel. It's Saturday. We picked up some hay for the goats, and I was able to find somebody online selling pretty cheap locally from their house. So we picked up 6 bales of hay for the goats this morning. It's pretty nice. It's good for them. It's just first cut hay. They drop most of it anyway. But we don't give them as much in the summertime because they have a lot of grass to eat. I don't know if you can tell here, but here's a part where the goats have not been. And this is where they have been, and it's nice and clear versus right next to it over here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move the electric fence that we really like. So Steve is working on the fence, and we'll take a look at what it looks like after. It's supposed to get up to 96 degrees here with a heat index of 105. So between the humidity and the temperature, high temperature, it's gonna feel like it's 105 degrees here, which I don't want to be outside during that. The kids are excited to swim in their pool, but I'm probably gonna stay inside and maybe make up some quick pickles and do some stuff in the kitchen. But I am out here. I want to harvest some stuff, so I'll show you what I'm harvesting. I have an early prolific squash in here. Here it is. And I've been seeing a lot of squash bugs and squash beetles and things. Lots of the eggs underneath the leaves have been starting to hatch. It's tough to stay on top of it. I've been trying. I've also noticed that we're starting to get blossoms on our honey nut squash. I don't see any on our butternut squash yet. Over here I have the Spacemaster cucumber. I'm gonna harvest that. You know, I probably could let these go a little bit bigger. Actually, yeah, I am gonna let that get a little bit bigger. There's a couple of them in here. This is a green machine zucchini. Over there, I see an early prolific squash. Oh, that got big quick. It does not take long for these things to get huge. I see squash and zucchini fritters in my future, which are delicious. Silver slicer cucumber. These are the green 18 cucumbers. I think I'll harvest this one. And we have a lot of different kinds in here. I've been finding them ripening to seed size really fast. Got some bell peppers in here. These are Sunbright sweet. They turn yellow, but I'm gonna harvest a couple of them green because I really could go for some fresh bell peppers in my salad later. No tomatoes yet, but we're getting there. Underneath our cattle panel trellis here, got a lot of green beans. Since we're over by the sunflowers, I gotta share it. We have a mammoth sunflower that grew on its own, left over from last year probably. And then this one's called a Chianti sunflower. Isn't that pretty? I have some of the markers around. I hope I have the right varieties, but I think that's what that is. All right, it's kind of too hot to do anything else. It is brutally hot. I'd rather be inside doing things. So let me show you what I got. I have here some of the Poland green beans that you just saw me pick, and then I have, these are actually Sunbright bell peppers. They turn yellow when they ripen, but I have been really wanting some fresh bell peppers and I couldn't help myself. So there's still plenty growing, but I stole 2 of them to add to my salad later. These are early prolific squash. Those are homemade pickles. The bushing pickle cucumbers, the green machine zucchini, a silver slicer, the green 18 cucumber, the this one looks kind of like a giant bean. This is a New York slicing 264, I think it is, from Fruition seeds. This one's a Spacemaster cucumber. They start to look like that when the watering is like not good. So I need to work on that with some of my container plants. And these are Boston pickling cucumbers. Right, so before we go inside, we'll take a look at what Steve did over here. He moved the stark line fence around to the other side. Hello. So instead of having it go this way, we have it going the other way. And that'll be good because there's a lot more stuff for them to eat. Steve has it going all the way down the back. This is a nice extra area for them. Okay, hopefully I remember how to do this. I have the air conditioning on. Hopefully that's not too loud. I just fed the kids lunch and we took a break for a little bit, and now they are outside swimming with Steve. While they're doing that, I am going to do some things in the kitchen. I don't really have a plan for what I'm doing. I'm just gonna take you along with me. Quick pickling our cucumbers and freezing green beans. So that's what I would like to get done today inside. Let me show you what I have though. We have a bowl full of all kinds of cucumbers that we've grown. I also have here the Pickling green beans. This will be something different where I'm going to wash them, cut them up, blanch them, freeze them. So we're gonna do that separately. I have dill here. This is not dill that I grew. It's all sad looking because it's from the grocery store. I do have dill growing in our green stock, but it's not to the point where I can harvest any of it yet. I had planted dill a while ago, but that all died when it got really hot out early on in the season, and they didn't make it. So we have the dill here. This is garlic that we grew from our garden. I have to clean it up, but this is a chestnut red garlic. I have here some regular salt. This is the pink Himalayan salt. This is just the everyday salt that we use. I have regular plain white sugar and distilled white vinegar. I'm not sure if that's the expiration date or what. It doesn't really say. It just says today's date, so I'm assuming it's the best by date. So we're gonna go ahead and use that today. The very first thing I'm gonna do is make the brine for the pickles. It's 1 cup of water to 1 cup of vinegar, and then 1 teaspoon of salt per 2 cups of total liquid. And then I add sugar to it, and I don't know how much I add. I just kind of eyeball it depending on the size of the jar that I'm using. I'm planning on filling this jar here. It's a 1/2 gallon ball jar, so this is what I'm gonna use for the pickles. It says here that there's 6 cups. When there's cucumbers in here, it's not gonna be 6 cups of liquid because of displacement. I'll probably just do 2 cups of vinegar to 2 cups of water, and then whatever I have left over, I might use it to pickle something else. All right, so we have 2 cups of water, 2 cups of vinegar. You can use apple cider vinegar if you want to. I like using distilled white vinegar. So there's 4 cups of total liquid there, which means I'm going to be adding 2 teaspoons of salt. Doesn't have to be pickling salt, doesn't have to be canning salt, just any kind of salt. And we're gonna add some sugar to that because we like them a little sweeter. Maybe about 2.5 tablespoons or so of sugar. Give that a stir. Bring it up to a boil. And that's it. While that comes up to a boil, I'm gonna wash the cucumbers. I know I have too many here. I'm gonna wash them all anyway and then store the ones I'm not using. I'm gonna put them back into water and stick them back in the refrigerator. Okay, the water is coming up to a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. And I'm actually gonna let this cool down a bit because I don't wanna pour boiling liquid over the cucumbers. So I'm just gonna move that out of the way for now and just kind of let that cool a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is slice up my cucumbers. So I'm gonna slice the stem side and the blossom side off because that's what I do. So these are not shelf stable pickles. Like these aren't pickles that you would make and put on your pantry shelf for a long term. These are fresh pickles that should be eaten probably within, I would say, 2 weeks. These don't usually last long in our house. I'm just going to do spears. Aww. It's that's too bad. It jumped ship. It doesn't want to be a pickle. I don't know where Rocky is. He's usually all over that stuff. It's so hot outside. Oh, he heard me. I have all of the window blinds closed, the curtains closed, the doors to the, oh, there he is. You don't want it? The doors to the rooms we're not really going in right now are closed, and I only have one air conditioner going on the lowest setting that keeps the house comfortable, because I don't want my power bill going up significantly if I can avoid it. You can use pickling cucumbers, you can use, this is a slicing cucumber, whatever you have, whatever you're able to get, works for quick refrigerator pickles. That's what they look like. The next thing I'm going to do is pack our jars here. I'm going to prep my garlic. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention was black peppercorns. I have black peppercorns here. I like to add that too. I'm just gonna crush some of the garlic right into the jar here. All right, I think I'm just gonna, that did not work out well at all. Oh no, I bent it. That won't work anymore. I'm gonna have to do a little dicey dice. Okay. Now I'm gonna add in some peppercorns. I love fresh dill when making pickles, but I have made it using dill seed before. And you still kind of get that flavor of it, but it's not exactly the same. Now I'm going to pack the jar with the cucumbers. About halfway through I'm going to add some more of the dill. Alright, and then I'm going to top it off with some more dill, more peppercorns. That I will put off to the side for now while the brine continues to cool off. As for the cucumbers that I have left over, I'm just going to put them in a container here with some water. I'm going to be making a salad later using some of the bell pepper that I picked today. The other cucumbers that I didn't cut up, I'm going to top this with water, put a bowl on top, and then place that in the fridge as well. And we will eat them fresh. And then when I have a decent amount of cucumbers in the refrigerator, I'd like to can up the same pickles that I did last time using our water bath canner. I'm going to put some water in a pot, bring it to a boil. While that's coming up to a boil, I'm going to cut up the green beans. I'm not filling the pot of water all the way, just halfway. Just do fork-sized pieces. Like that. These in a bowl, and I will rinse these off again before I blanch them. These and, you know, save the freezer space or whatever, but honestly, green beans are one of those things that we really like them frozen. They keep their texture really nicely from frozen when I cook them from frozen, so it's just how we prefer it. And it would for sure save freezer space if I just pressure canned these and stuck them on the pantry shelf. But if I had an abundance of green beans that I didn't know what to do with, I did make pickled green beans last year, but that's using water bath canner, and those were really good. We're still eating those. Steve really likes them, but and with those I used pickle crisp, and they stayed nice and crunchy, and they were delicious. All right, and that's how those look. I'm going to rinse them off again in the sink. All right, here we go. Here's the fun part. The water's up to a boil, and I'm just gonna do a scoopful at a time. I'll add those, and then set the timer for 3 minutes. Timer is going off. Turn the timer off. I'm going to fish out the green beans here and move them over to the ice water. Taking them out of the boiling hot water, putting them in ice water immediately stops the cooking process because I don't want them to cook all the way. Now I'm going to get another big scoopful and woo, into the pot. Set the timer again for 3 minutes. And now while that's going, I'm going to find a cookie sheet that fits in my freezer. Timer off, burner off. So I'm just gonna let those chill out in the cold water there for a bit. Now, the brine is for sure cool enough to the touch that I'm comfortable pouring it over our pickles here. I don't have my canning funnel. It's downstairs. So we're gonna see how this goes. Let's see how messy I am. So I have my brine here. It is for sure cooled off. And now I'm going to try and pour it in over the cucumbers. Oh, look at that. I made just enough. Oh, that's kind of disappointing. I was hoping I'd have some extra brine to pickle something else, but that's okay. You do not need to get the air bubbles out. We're not water bath canning this or anything. You don't need to get all the air bubbles out. I just like to make sure that the brine is getting in between all of the cucumbers. Give these a good shake. Get all those ingredients mixed around like that. I'm just gonna let it sit on the countertop for just a little bit and cool off even more before I put it in the refrigerator. But for the most part, it's room temperature. It is not hot at all. For the best flavor on quick pickles, they should sit overnight. Or in my experience in the past, I would make them in the morning and then you can have them for dinner and they kind of are good, but they're the best at least sitting overnight in the fridge. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is drain these green beans. Now I have a flour sack towel here. It doesn't produce any lint or anything. It's what I use a lot, especially when I'm canning and I need to wipe off the rims of jars. I'm gonna lay it down on this cookie sheet here. This cookie sheet I have lined with parchment paper. It actually fits in my freezer really nicely. I wanna dry off the green beans as best as I can. Spread them out. Try and get any extra water off of them. I'm going to pour them on an even layer onto the parchment paper. It's better if it's one even layer. These are kind of stacked up, which isn't ideal. They will sit in my freezer for a few hours. I might let these sit in the freezer overnight, and then first thing tomorrow morning I'm going to break them up and put them into a freezer bag. All right, so that's it. Think of what I'm gonna do as far as preserving things. I'm really excited about these. They're gonna be so good. They're so delicious. Growing cucumbers is one of my most favorite things. But I just wanted to share with you how I quickly preserve things when stuff from the garden starts coming in. It's quick pickles and freezing green beans early on. I'll probably be freezing green beans all throughout the summer, which is how we end up with a good supply of them. And then once I get to the point where I feel like I have a good stock in my freezer, that's when last year I made the dilly beans that are really good. I'll think about possibly pressure canning green beans. It's just my experience with canned green beans is I don't really like the consistency of them. They're a little too soft and they get kind of mushy. I should be getting enough cucumbers soon that I'll be able to can up pickles like I did last year. Those came out really, really good, so I'm hoping to repeat the same recipe that I did last year, the same method, everything. I have a whole bunch of cucumbers growing still in the garden. So far, it's been one of my better years for growing cucumbers. I think that'll do it for this video. I don't know how long it is, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like this kind of stuff, please let me know in the comments. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye.